Sup guys, Lindsey here. Do not let this awful cover prevent you from buying this comic. You know I've read the past 2 issues of Sideways. I'm into it. But God, if I was just coming in this just like completely blind about New Age of Heroes and I just saw this cover, I would pass on this purchase, TM Lindsey Parks. But it's just like, oh God. I think Rocafort, the artist for this book, he's just an ass man in general. He's an ass man of this lady. He's an ass man of Derek. It's just, God, this has got to be one of the worst covers I've ever seen. Tell me if you agree or you know of a worse cover that exists out there. I'm sure it is, but this is just like, what? Why are you showing me a city in like a head shape and his logo and his ass? Teenage boy ass and just so alright, this is what I'm talking about Rocafort being an ass man. This is like, if I split this up into 25%, we're still rocking at a 20% ass, and you know, he's an ass man, whatever, I can respect, God bless you, dude. But this is the image I was talking about in Sideways #2, that I thought it would be powerful image of seeing Derek just in wearing a hospital gown with the broken arm and his mask, and you know what? I was right. Like, I'm holding a camera, so everyone give me a little bit of golf clap, but let's get into this. Not the best of days, faced down a cosmic monster, fell off a building, hurt my shoulder, and got yelled at by my mom. That's that, you know, that Peter Parker essence we're talking about here. I've got to act all superhero-y against an obvious supervillain when all I really want is to find my pants. So, she wants to get in a little bit of a tussle. She tells him to lay down and die like everybody else. And he's like, oh, no. That's his mom down there. He checks him out. And he's like, alright, she's not dead, so that's good. But leaving her like this? Wonder if it makes me a bad son. They've got this sort of, you know, I don't want to say like tenuous relationship or something, but he's adopted. This is his adopted mother, so they got this thing where she tries to overcompensate and care like way too much. And so he also wants to do the exact same thing because it's like, hey, we don't have the similar DNA, so we're gonna work even harder at this than the people who have similar DNA. And he checks out his friend, who she's wearing her frog hat, but you know what? I just want to think that that's Cyber Frog. I really need to read some Cyber Frog. I've been late on doing that. And you know what? This girl's named Ernie, and she's doing that, and I gotta respect a girl that's going out there telling people to call her Ernie, you know what I'm saying? So her name is Killspeed, which could be better, could be a better name out there. I have a real hate for this hospital and everyone in it. You and your friends are just collateral damage. I know you want to take this outside, but I prefer to finish you off right here. She gets her speed cranking. He knows it's not good. Gonna skip the next page, but she's running. He opens up a rift, and she just flies right through it because she's got that kill speed. She's going so fast, it's killing speed. No one thought that we had the technology for it, but this lady's got it. So he opens up a rift, she flies through it. He opens up a rift for himself. He goes through it. So she ends up outside, which is where he wanted to take this thing. And she just is like, oh God, you know what, I do have to get the hell out of here. She's kind of like wishy-washy as a villain, and just, I think, as a human being in general. She's like, I don't want your sympathy, I just gotta get away. Like, literally a page earlier, she wanted to murder you and everyone. But whatever. And she's like a bomb waiting to go off. I have to stop her, but she's impossible to catch. She's not really dressed for it either. Still, I have an idea. So she's got super speed. That's like one of the superpowers that seems really like there's no way you can beat it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard the next season of Flash. I really did not like the 3rd season at all, and I heard for the next season they're going to do a supervillain who doesn't have super speed, and it's just like, super speed's going to trump everything every time. So whatever. So this is the issue we actually learn about Derek's sideway powers, because you remember he's only had these powers for like 2 weeks or something, so he's learning. as we're learning, and I think that is a selling point for me, because look, I love Spider-Man, I read a lot of Spider-Man. God, I don't have like an encyclopedic knowledge of Spider-Man. But the thing with Spider-Man, you get like 60 years of history, 60 plus years of history, that if you say Spider-Man's your favorite, you gotta know. But this guy, I can just jump right in, and he's like Spider-Man. It's just, easier to be there at the genesis of a character. You know what I mean? It's easier to retain the knowledge. So he's like, I need to open rifts, as many as possible, all around the city. Maybe we can catch a glimpse of where she went off to. So what we've seen so far, he just opens up a rift and goes through it. Sometimes he doesn't know where he's going to end up or what. So he's got all these rifts open at the same time, and he can peer into them. I'm pushing myself and my powers further than ever before. Never knew I had it in me. It feels liberating. But he's having some struggle here. Harder than I thought, holding them all open. I have to keep looking, see if she runs past. Then he sees her. I just love the image of the superhero wearing the gown with the mask. But he's got all these rifts open. So it just makes his power of being able to open... Essentially, he just can open portals, right? But it just makes it a little bit more interesting for me. You know what I'm saying? So eventually he does see her. And then, look, there's this panel. I almost don't even want to show it because it's like the worst shit of all time. Camera doesn't even want to focus because it knows. Look at that. Bazinga. Bazinga. Don't do this. Writers, don't do this shit. Nobody likes Big Bang Theory because everybody likes Big Bang Theory. I don't know how that works, but I know it's bad and I know you need to cut this shit out. So he sees her, and she's used her speed, and her speed kills her. That's how she gets her name. Every step gets me closer to death. Why attack a hospital? And she's like, they didn't help me before the accident. Only made it worse after. I took the name Killspeed as a joke. Yeah, it is really a joke name. And then she has a flashback where she, of course, I'm going to hit you with some stuff that it's fucking obvious. It's done to death. I hate it. Can we just cure cancer so we can have it no longer be in stories? There's so many more diseases out there that are life-threatening. But our girl had leukemia, of course, and I guess during Dark Knight's Metal or something, she got hit with lightning, and that's how she got her power. So she started using her speed powers to like rob ATMs and stuff to pay for her treatment, which I feel like it has a little bit more realness to it, because honestly, if anybody got any sort of powers, they would be using them. You might be using them for good 95% of the time. If I get powers, I'm not working my job anymore. Like, come on. I'll steal a little bit. Steal a lot of it. Dude, if I had super speed, I'd be robbing banks all the time. But also probably, some good stuff as well to, like, balance it out. But I do like... A part of me doesn't like it. It's like, of course she had cancer. Of course she uses her speed to pay for her treatment. I guess it's like a really cliched way of making us feel for a character. It's like every single comic, every single movie, TV as somebody with cancer, and I've never met anyone with cancer in my life. Which probably means I look around the room, and if nobody else has cancer, I have cancer. So I don't know, but I guess that's what they're going with for her. And so she says, every time I use my powers, my speed accelerates my metabolism. Lets me think and move faster, but it spreads the cancer faster too. So we got a reverse Deadpool going on here. That's really sucks. So he says, he offers, he's like, here, let me help. And I get to some of these angles, Rocafort's drawn a lot of angles where they're like far away and the characters are this size, and I don't know if I'm that into it. So he's like, there must be an answer. Let me help. And she says, so that mask and gown are barely concealing a world-class oncologist? That's good. That's good. So he's like, come on, we'll take you back to the hospital. They gotta treat you fair. And that triggers her like crazy. So that was a mistake. Thought I was making progress. When does life treat you fairly? So she pushes him back with her whirly powers. She lowers her sunglasses because that's her turning the hat backwards move that she's got going on. She throws a bus at him. And he uses his powers in a way that I don't want to show. Because I really want people to go buy this. Like, his numbers are down. This, like, Saturday sells like 16,000. We need to pump those numbers up, girl. And it's an interesting thing. And I think it's worth the $250. I'm going to be honest. I think it's worth the $250. So I'm not going to show it at all. And I'm not going to show the preceding pages where he uses what he learns. But eventually he gets away. And he pushes her through a rift. But I will show this thing because, you know, that might help you a little bit. He pushes her through a rift when the cops are getting closer because they've caused a bit of a scene. So he rifts to a park and he's like, oh man, not exactly the superhero debut I hoped for. Wrecked a hospital and destroyed a bus. Don't know what happened to kill speed and I don't care. Just happy to be free of her. So I like that. It's like a real teenager. Aside from that Bazinga shit. And then a portal ostensibly cut off her fucking arm, dude. Okay, maybe that kind of ruins like what I didn't show, but yeah. And then there's a little thing about with his mom, and then they do this stepping out with Sideways, where they sort of retell his origin a little bit. But you know what? It's good. Despite the cover, I know the guy at the comic book store has told me that I really like the Rocafort art. I really like, you know, the line work of it. Rocafort's leaving after the 4th issue, or maybe this was his last one, but if the art that artists they put on it after Rocafort is good, I'm putting this shit on my pull list, and I highly recommend that you do the same thing, because it's like new Peter. You gotta jump on this. You gotta jump on this shit now, dude. Even with the fucking Bazinga. Jesus, God, I understand if you don't buy it because of that. Totally